All right. Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before I get started, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Racha HaKodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well. Peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing his word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. To you I say shalom. This is the brother Yeshaya coming at you again through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. Back again with another lesson. And this one is going to be entitled, This Will Come to Pass. Okay. And pretty much going to go into, the topic of the MOTB, right? Because what we see is that now that we're, you know, getting closer and closer to the end, closer to the fall of this current system, is that Esau is going to have to come in with, you know, this new form of currency, right, to take over, which is all going to be digitized, right? And you're going to have that micro C hip implanted. Well, it's going to come down to that. First it might say, oh, you need a digital ID or whatnot. But eventually it's going to come down to the point where they're going to implant an actual device, a microchip under your skin, you know, for in order for you to make transactions, in order for you to really be in the system that they're envisioning to, get up and running here soon, right? But one of the things, that I came across earlier this week was this article. It says tech bosses take AI to prisons as alarming dystopian idea proposes chip implantation in criminals, right? And we knew this is where things is going, man, or at least the talks. The talks are there of doing this. The implantation of micro C hips into humans, right? So let me read this back. It says tech bosses take AI to prisons, right? Because AI is that what you could say is the workhorse, behind all the data transferring and recording, and monitoring, right? This is what they're going to be using. Really, this is what they needed. Whenever you hear about or hear what's his name, Yuval Noah Harari talk, he mentions how back then, even though they had this a similar system, right, as far as slaving and branding and all this and that, but they didn't have the technology to take it to the step that Esau is prepared to take it this time, right? The scriptures go into how knowledge shall increase. Of course, you know, first and foremost, that's talking about knowledge of the scriptures, right? The members of the elect waking up to the truth, but also, the technology, you know, Esau is going to delve deeper into the left hand, increases, so-called wisdom, in technology and get all these advancements, what I'm saying, through the left hand side. Well, um, again, all that was prophesied about. And now Esau has reached that level, and this is all part of his blessing at the end of the day, right? But now he has reached this level of, you know, power and supremacy and might and technological advancement that it seems as if this man is unstoppable, right? Which is what he wants to establish on the earth is that sentiment that he is a God, that he is, I guess, omnipotent, all seeing, all knowing, right? But anyway, with this article that I just read the title, right? Um, they're proposing the idea of getting prisoners, tagged with this micro C hip, right? As a form of monitoring, right? And they're gonna come with their reasonings. They're gonna say, it's for safety, it's for concerns, public concerns, what I'm saying, in case they escape and run away, what I'm saying. But um, who knows what they're gonna do with this, what I'm saying. Maybe they might start making some of these prisoners, giving them the option. to take this, to sign an agreement or whatever. And if you take it, you might cut down on your years in prison, or give you access to parole or whatever, right? Who knows what they're gonna do with it, man? You know what I'm saying? They're gonna throw out incentives, to get people on board with this. But the point being is that we here, man, right? The topic and the talk of implanting people with a digital device or a micro C hip, right, is not no, is no longer conspiracy. Is no longer you know far fetched. We here, man. We are here, and the system that Esau is putting in place or is already in place. Because this system is really, they can really go online with this. If they wanted to, if they really wanted to, they can really go online with this. When you go to your grocery stores, most registers have that tap to pay. All they need is a people. There's videos online of people having, micro C hips or chips in their hand, right? That have it implanted in their hand. They're able to scan things out just by scanning their hand, or buy things just by scanning their hand, pay just by scanning their hand, right? So again, this is no longer, you know, something off of a sci-fi movie. We're here, man, right? This we're in the end times, right? But let me read a little bit into this, and we'll get some precepts, and Lord willing, this will be an edifying lesson. So it says, story highlights: the UK wants to use AI and tech to monitor prisoners and even run the jails. At a secret meeting held last year, representatives from over 30 tech companies, excuse me, like Google and Amazon, suggested ideas like planting chips in prisoners and driverless prison vans. You see, Google and Amazon, man, what's up with this, man? All these tech companies, man. You see, all these top tech companies are all in cahoots with this thing, man. Right? They're all part of this NWO. But anyway, it says top tech bosses are now taking AI to the jails and say that it can be used to predict the risk posed by certain individuals at a roundtable event. Oh, at a roundtable event with the UK Prisons Minister Lord Timpson, representatives from tech company or tech firms proposed inserting microchips under the skin of criminals to monitor their movements. They also put forward the idea of driverless prison vans and robot run jails. You see? So everything's gonna be robotic, everything's gonna be all connected, to the Internet of Things, um, and this new AI, right? Or this AI that they are setting up, right? AI is taking over, man. AI is everywhere. As soon as it's gonna be the robots, right? All this is coming, man. This is the vision that Esau has for the future, man, and he's you know coming forth with it. But it says executives from over 30 companies, including Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, sat down with Timpson last year. However, the details are being revealed only now. The minister said at the meeting, "I want technology to play an integral role in tackling crime and making our streets safer." Right? Because you have the cameras, with the facial recognition, the iris scan, and all this and that. Right? So they already have the cameras, the CCTV cameras. You know, people getting the digital ID. You know, signing into internet. You're gonna need your digital ID. To be able to go in on the internet, which that's coming soon. There's a lot of things, man, that we see Europe doing, or these NATO nations doing, that is a prelude to what is going to come over here to America, right? So again, man, we're seeing this, man. This is happening, right? This is happening now. Again, this thing with prisons, again, this is just talks. This is just talks, but we understand where this is going, right? The fact that they're having these talks shows you that this is no longer, something, like I said, a conspiracy theory, man. This is no longer, far fetched. You know, we're here, man. This is it. This is the mark of the beast that the Bible speaks of, right? We in the end. But continuing on a little bit more, it says Foxglove, a group that exposed the abuse of tech by governments and companies, filed a Freedom of Information request to learn about what transpired at the gathering. It says, talking to prison newspaper Inside Time, the group described the proposals as alarmingly dystopian. It added, "It's worrying that justice ministers have sat with the tech sector to discuss using robots to manage prisoners, implanting devices under people's skin to track their behavior, or using computers to predict what they would do in the future." At the time, the Ministry of Justice stated that the discussions would revolve around the potential for even more effective tracking of offender movement, among other things, according to the Daily Mail. And then Lord Chancellor Shabana Mahmood said, "We need bold ideas to address the challenges that we face, supporting our staff, delivering swifter justice for victims, and cutting crime." So again, they're doing all this in the name of peace and safety, right? Now, let me get this real quick. Something came to mind was Daniel, the 8th chapter and the 25th verse. So in this verse, of course, is going into Antiochus or Antiochus Epiphanes, right? But that same spirit, we're seeing that same spirit is upon Donald Trump and all these Edomites out here right now, all these people that are on the very top. So it says Daniel 8 and 25. It says, and through his policy, all these technocrats, right? They're all one in accord, man, right? Even though some of these might be like in the public, in the public sphere, they're viewed as being competitors and rivals or whatever. Nah, man, they're both, like we always say, these like just like the Republican and the Democratic Party, um, they're both two faces of the same coin. And the same thing with these companies, right? Apple, Samsung. You don't think they're gonna have their own type of chip, and eventually in the future, right? They're all, again, like I said, they're all uh, uh, the two faces of the same coin. But anyway, Daniel 8 and 25, it says, and through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, right? Through his policies, right? He's over here making all kinds of new legislation, and signing all these different bills and executive orders, right? It says through that, it says he's going to cause his craft to prosper, right? It says, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many, right? 'Cause that's what they're coming with, right? This is all going to be for peace and safety, right? This is for the betterment, this is good for the community, for the safety of the people, right? This is more efficient. This is better, right? But it says, uh, and by peace shall destroy many, because people don't know that what they're bringing in, which some people do, this talks about it, online. You hear some of these truthers come out with it, but for the most part, a lot of these people are zombies out here. They can't see the setup, right? They don't see the trap that's being laid, the snare that's being laid before them, right? This is exactly what this is, right? And this is about to take a lot of people. So as it says, and by peace shall destroy many, right? Because if you take this thing, that's it. You know, there's no repentance. Once you take it, you ain't hey, you made your choice. You know, because with this C hip, all it is a digital all, right? And all in the ancient times, um they'll bore your ear with an awl to signify that are perpetual, that you voluntarily made yourself a perpetual slave, right? But anyway, going back, it says, he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Right? Which again, that happened back then with Antiochus, with Antiochus or Antiochus, whatever, however you say his name, right? How he died through, I don't know, some type of cancer, colon cancer or something like that, pancreatic cancer. I don't even know. Okay, I got to go back and research that. But yeah, right. And also, to parallel that with what's going to happen in the future, Esau will come up against the Prince of Princes, right? He's going to fight against Yahushua and lose, right? Broken without hand. The scriptures go into how Yahushua would not raise up neither hand nor sword, right? But only flaming breath would come out of his mouth, right? Talking about them chariots with them laser beams. It's going to be a swift destruction when Yahushua returns. But anyway, let me see if I had any more on this. So this latter part right here, it says, we need bold ideas to address the challenges that we face, supporting our staff, delivering swifter justice for victims, and cutting crimes. So it says early release of prisoners under new program. As part of the laborers' soft justice program, data from the Ministry of Justice showed that 60,108 offenders were let out of the prison in the first 16 months. The scheme was launched by Shabana Mahmoud, under which criminals can be freed after serving just 40 per or what? Serving just 40% of the sentence handed down by a court. Shadow Justice Secretary Nick Timothy said the early release was a political choice by a government too weak to build the prison places the country needs. Right, so that was pretty much it. That's pretty much the point, right? The fact that they're talking about this, right, is just another uh, nail on the board. You know what I mean? It's just like, how much more evidence do you need, Jake? Of where the future is going, man. Where the America is headed, right? And where where prophecy is at, right? Where we at in prophecy is my point. You see? So let's get this real quick. Let's get Habakkuk 2 and verse 3. It says, for the vision, as a matter of fact, I just start at the top. It says, I will stand upon my watch. This is Habakkuk 2 and 1. I will stand upon my watch and set me upon the tower, and will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what I shall answer when I am reproved. And the Lord answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. Right, so we're breaking things down, right? And one of the main breakdowns, that what we hear Great Millstone always bring out is the MOTB, right? The mark of the beast. So it says, verse 3, for the vision is yet for an appointed time. So there's an appointed time for this vision to take place. It wasn't meant for this thing to happen in, the 90s or the early 2000s or the 2010s, right? But we believe that this will take place here in the 2020s, right? Lord willing, next year, 2 years from now, who knows, man? But soon. Esau is getting, everything set up to where this could happen at any moment, right? But it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak. And we see in it speak, man. All the signs are there, man. All the article after article, right? Brothers constantly going into this thing. The concept of implanting something under your skin is not something in the future, 100 years from now, or 50 years from now. No, this is something that's that's prevalent. Shit, over there in Sweden, there's majority of the people over there in Sweden are already micro C-hipped, right? And then the system over there in China with the social credit score. So combine the two, and this this is exactly what they want. They done their test trials and all the statistics on and science behind it. Now it's just time for them to implement it. But let's see. Um, Finishing it out. But at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry. You see? And it's not tarrying. Right? The scriptures go into how for the elect's sake, the day shall be shortened, right? And that's what we're seeing, man. Things is happening at a very rapid pace. As our apostles say, you miss a day of watching the news or keeping up with, what's going on, keeping up with the Joneses, you pretty much gonna miss a lot, man. You're gonna miss out on a lot of key and vital information if you're not watching, right? So it says, though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry, man. It's not gonna tarry. I'm telling you, you can continue to, put your head in the sand, stick your head in the sand, continue to ignore it, right? But soon you're gonna be faced with this, right? The scriptures go into it as it being the hour of temptation, right? Let's get that. Revelation 3:10. It says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth. So there's nowhere you can go to hide from this, right? It's going to try the whole world. This system is going to be global, a global system, right? So reading it back, because thou hast kept the word of my patience. Who are they that are going to keep the word of the Lord, right? The elect, right? It says, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation. You see, it's going to be a great a time of great testing. As a matter of fact, when you read it in the NLT, it says, because you have obeyed my command to persevere, right, to endure, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world. You see, because that's ultimately what it is. It's a test. You did all the studying, you did all the pop quizzes, you did all your homework. Now it's time to put what to the test of what you learned. Right? So it says, verse 11 in the King James, behold, I come quickly, hold thou fast which thou hast, that no man take thy crown. And really in this thing, we're our own worst enemy. Right? So the point being is to endure, right? Continue in the race. And if you ain't in the race, get in the race. Right? The scriptures go into seek the Lord while he may be found, call upon him while he's near. Right? Scripture says, put not off from day to day, right? Because suddenly hey, this thing is gonna be mandated, and then what you gonna do? At that point, the prophets will most likely be off the streets by then. The truth is gonna be banned. Where you gonna get your information from, right? So it says, well, as a matter of fact, let's get one that comes to mind. Um, let's get Micah 2:10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest." Right. So pretty much telling you, Jakes, to wake up, wake the fuck up, man. You know, look around you. Look what's going on, man. Analyze your situation. Analyze your surroundings, man. The problem with Jake, A lot of Jakes is that they have a very world, small world view. This truth is for visionaries, man, big thinkers, right? You got to be able to see the vision, right? You got to have the vision. This is the reason why the scriptures go into how that's in Hebrews 11:7. Bear with me. Oh wait, no, 7:11. Hold on, Salakia. I don't know which one it is. How's it go? Oh no, Romans 11:7. Salakia. Right here. Yeah, Romans 11:7. I don't know why I said Hebrews. But Romans 11:7. What then? Israel had not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. You see? So only those who have the vision are going to be able to see. And there's some that don't have the vision that were blinded, preordained to be part of 2/3, right? But again, just pointing out that this thing is imminent, man, right? Let's go back. Micah 2 and 10. Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you even with the sword destruction, right? So if you continue to you know be in the mindset of the American dream and trying to forward America and being for America, all that is going to come to your detriment, man, because it says it shall destroy you even with the sword destruction. You tying yourself to this place, you making a pact and an agreement and an alliance with this place is going to put you at odds with the Most High, which in turn is going to, because you got to understand, this place is about to be destroyed. So if you're in alliance with this place, you're going to be destroyed right along with it, right? There's a scripture that goes, how's it go? Oh, trying to think how it goes. Salaki, I'm drawing a blank. Can't remember exactly how it goes, how it's worded, but I know it's something along the lines of, those who pretty much join with this place, they're gonna fall by the sword, right? And that's exactly what's gonna happen, man. There's gonna be a lot of people that's gonna fall by the way of the sword, by the way of the ICBM missiles, right? And all because they wanted a meal. First of all, they didn't have the faith, right? And when Esau comes out with this, the MOTB, he's gonna promote it as, you know, as a form of salvation, because the grid is gonna be down. There's gonna be no food. There's gonna be no water. There's gonna be chaos out here, right? So he's gonna come in with the solution, the new system up and running online. You get this micro C hub, and you're gonna be able to eat. You're gonna be able to live somewhat like how you used to. But people gonna take it. People who ain't, you know, in the spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, they're gonna take it, man. They're gonna fall victim to it, right? But at the end of the day, like I said, this thing will come to pass here soon, man. Right? Habakkuk 2 and 3. This vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie, man. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come and will not tarry. You see? So this will come to pass in our lifetime, right? As a matter of fact, um, to this generation, right here, Luke 21 and 32. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass away till all be fulfilled. You see? And that same generation that was back then with Yahweh Shai, that same generation is back here now. And we're going to go through what we're reading about in the book of Revelation, man. Right? As a matter, I don't think I read it. Right? Revelation 13 and 16. Might as well get it. Right? And he causeth all. Right? This is in the book of Revelation. This is something that the Apostle John, right? John the Revelator, he saw this, you know, as a future event before the return of our Lord Yahweh Shah, right? So Revelation 13 and 16, and he causeth all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads. You know, you have the Neuralink, you have the Synchron, you know, you have all these different companies coming out with their own versions, right? You had the Apple and Synchron teaming up, right? Doing a little collab. Expect more of that. Various companies, you know, you have, like I said, Amazon with their, I think it's called Amazon Go. You know, you had Walgreens with their QR codes. You know, all these, you know, pretty much uh, self-serve shops. I don't know how do you even call those things. You just walk in and, you know, you grab stuff. I think they're shutting them down, but you know, they're just giving you a preview of what to expect later down the line, you know. But anyway, it says verse 17, and that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. You see, so you ain't gonna be able to operate like you do now. You ain't gonna be able to go to work because in order to work, you know, you need a financial uh, pretty much your finances are involved. Finances are involved. Money transaction is all involved, right? So if you don't have this thing, you ain't gonna be able to work. You ain't gonna be able to make money. You ain't gonna be able to run your business. You ain't gonna be able to go shopping. Shit, it might make it to where you won't even be able to. You won't even be classified as a U.S. citizen unless you have this thing. You see, this is why again, Jake doesn't understand. Whenever we talk about this, Jake don't get it. Right? They lack the capacity to see what it is that we're talking about. They lack that, you know, the vision, right? But yeah, you know, that was pretty much it though. You know, like I said, this is coming, man, real soon, real soon. We here, we at the end, you know. So Lord willing, this was edifying. I'm gonna go ahead and close it out by giving all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Racha HaKodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth and rule well, peace and blessings unto the hopeful elect, pushing this word throughout the four corners of the earth in truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Until the next time, I'm gonna say Shalom and Kwam Yasha Allah.